There's a lot of movies that like
they're saying that like
they're too scary.
Yeah,
now.
it's
I'm like,
too
man,
scary
you
for
the
kids.
Shit that I grew up on.
Yeah.
John Bluth is hiding in a corner like
shh,
don't tell them about me.
They're gonna come for me.
I killed a brontosaurus. All right, puppers, welcome back to some more of Darksiders. In the last episode, we Kalimaw'd the Griever's heart. So that's 2 down and 2 to go. But one of the things about Darksiders and Zelda games and a lot of these adventure games is when you get the abilities, you can go back to previous areas and use the tools you got to reach areas you haven't reached before. And that's what we're going to do now. I call it Metroidvania philosophy.
I love that it's Metroidvania, and this is neither of those games.
It's a weird title that's kind of like blend together, and like it's hard not to say. But the original genre that did this was Metroid.
Okay.
It's called item gatekeeping. You start with nothing, you go around the world, you build yourself up,
and then you have to go back and
you can go all through, and basically you conquer the world.
Okay.
You start with nothing, and you build and build and build, getting new abilities and being like, oh, I didn't get there before, but now I can. And when Castlevania Symphony of the Night came out, which I believe was like the 5th or 6th Castlevania, because they were trying something new, they used Metroid as a backbone. And instead of like Samus exploring a planet, it is Alucard exploring Dracula's castle.
Okay.
And the more abilities you get, the more of the castle opens up.
Okay.
So that has become such a huge genre that, like, a lot of indie developers do it. Like, Hollow Knight is a Metroidvania when you think about it. Zelda has some elements of Metroidvania because, like, you get tools and it opens up more of the world. So, like, it's basically a huge backbone of game design when it comes to adventure games. But see, there was that ice wall blocking me before. I use the tremor gauntlets now, and I can get Hellfire. Beata Maria, you know I am a righteous man. Of my virtue I am justly proud. Excuse me, I have a little trouble with the fireplace. I'm just going to slink off to the fireplace. I did that a lot as a kid. We had that huge fireplace downstairs, and we just start the fire, and all of a sudden I'd just be like, Hellfire, dark fire, now Gypsy, it's your turn. I could do the whole song, but Disney executives will be mad.
Yeah.
They're like, he knows that song a little too well.
All of a sudden we'd walk outside, and there's people in suits on the porch with
God.
Mickey ears on.
It's sad that, like, if Disney was a much better company nowadays, I would actually be rooting for them to do a remake of The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
I don't think it's needed.
No? I don't know. I just feel like that one doesn't get much exposure. But at the same time, maybe that's a good thing.
I feel like
it had its time, it made its money.
If they were better, if they were a better company, I would want them to re-release it.
Okay.
You know how they, re-released Cinderella and, The Little Mermaid?
Or, the Ghibli Fest?
Yeah.
God, why the fuck don't we have, a Renaissance Fest?
Well, because they're
Tarzan.
doing all the live-action remakes.
Yeah.
They don't need to.
God, they suck. They just really suck.
They do.
I think they're worse than the direct-to-DVD sequels, which I don't know if you've seen any of those.
I don't think I have.
Those are a treat.
I had no idea that there were more than one Cinderella. That there was more than one Little Mermaid. The only
sequels, digging through shit to find bronze. Or maybe not even bronze, copper.
The only sequels that I was aware of was The Lion King. The Lion King had sequels.
Yeah.
And Aladdin. But I didn't know how many sequels Aladdin had.
Aladdin had 2 sequels and a television show.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Return of Jafar is a guilty pleasure. I actually think the third movie, King of Thieves, is a much better Aladdin picture, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, I had no idea that there were 3.
It has John Rhys-Davies as Aladdin's dad.
Huh.
Yeah. That, Commander, is our terrorist. No, that's my son.
Nosferatu. We're referencing our own videos.
Yeah, we've come to that point now. Well, we're approaching the 4th year already. This year went by fast.
It did.
But also, I forget his name. He voices Lumiere in Beauty and the Beast.
Okay.
And he's also big on, I want to say, like, Law and Order or CSI. One of those, like, cop shows.
Okay.
He voices the villain in King of Thieves. So, yeah, if I were to recommend, like, 5 Disney sequels that are fine, it would be... God, it's hard to think of 5. But definitely Aladdin and the King of Thieves. Simba's Pride, which is Lion King 2. Lion King 1.5, which is just Lion King, but done from Timon and Pumbaa's perspective. And it's kind of like a Deadpool, break the fourth wall kind of movie.
Okay.
But it was, like, fresh at the time. It was, like, a very novel concept. Very much like... Well, no, not a novel concept now that I think about it, because that's just The Emperor's New Groove. Now that I think about it, I think they saw Emperor's New Groove and said, that made a lot of money. What else can we do? Timon and Pumbaa's popular.
Yeah.
Let's have them do that. But yeah, that one's fine. And oddly enough, Cinderella 3, it's called like A Twist in Time. Basically, the stepmother gets the fairy godmother's wand, and it all goes to shit. And it is such a fun romp. Like, I saw the trailer and I was just like, man, they're really reaching, aren't they? And you know what? An honorable mention, even though I think I did name 4.
Yeah, that was 4.
All right, so the 5th one, Peter Pan Returned to Neverland.
I had no idea that there was more than one Peter Pan.
I bet you didn't know there was more than one Hunchback.
No, I did not.
It is awful.
Yeah.
It's all about him finding a love interest.
Oh my god. I just like... Sometimes there's a need for a sequel, and sometimes there's just not.
Money!
Like...
I just crushed your spirit, didn't I?
My soul just died a little.
Well, I have to stomach these live-action remakes, so if I'm going to hell,
yeah, but I don't like those either.
It was funny how, like, you were willing to give the trailer to Peter Pan and Wendy a chance.
I was just
Because I brought
curious.
it up in my therapy session.
Yeah, it wasn't that like, oh, I want to see it. I saw it wasn't an ad, but it was like an article that was like, oh, Peter Pan live action. Like there was an actor that was like the first actor with Downs. And I was like, no. And then I was like, I don't even remember seeing an actor with Downs, like, anywhere in the trailers for anything.
Oh.
So, and then I was like, I wonder, like, did I just miss it? Like, because it wasn't, like, on my mind, I just didn't notice.
Well, yeah, you're not, I don't think the point's to notice and be like, an actor with Down syndrome.
Yeah. Well, because it's like that, too, like, whenever... I don't have, like, an eyeball for controversial things because I just don't see them as controversial. Like, to me, it's just like, okay.
I don't seek them. Sometimes they just find me.
Yeah, but even, like, when people were like, oh, the first Black Mermaid, I was like, wait, what? Like, it didn't occur to me.
The reason that stuff bothers me is because it forms a shield around actual criticism. I'm like, wow, this story is awful. Oh, you just don't like it because the mermaid's black. No, the story's literally awful. You don't understand the entire point of the original, so you're trying to fix it, and therefore creating more problems.
Yeah.
This is Beauty and the Beast all over again. You're creating new things that make the movie even more confusing. She has a book that allows her to travel anywhere she wants. So she goes to rescue her father. I'm screaming in the theater, grab the book!
Yeah.
This happens again in Aladdin. Jasmine grabs the lamp off Jafar. And I'm just like, rub the lamp, you stupid bitch!
Yeah.
Like, this whole plot revolves around, like, the lamp and stuff. So you at least understand what it does. In Beauty and the Beast, you use the book earlier to travel back in time to...
And you just don't use it.
Find out how her mother died, I believe?
Yeah.
So I'm like, you bring these new elements and the story's just like,
Yeah.
because the story is shackled to the original. Even though nobody wants you to compare it to the original, the story is shackled to it. Especially Aladdin. The first fucking 15 minutes of Aladdin are a music video in the remake. So I'm just like, well, there just went a lot of important information. Who's he? What's that? The only reason I know is because I love and seen the original.
See, what I don't understand is, like, the original films are, like, what, 90 minutes max?
Yes.
Or, like, the longest of the Renaissance animated
Some of
films.
them, yeah.
And these remakes are, like...
Half-hour longer.
Almost 3 hours long, 2.5 hours,
Mm-hmm.
2 and 45. Like, why? Why? Like, kids' movies should not ever be that long. Because kids do not have that type of attention
These aren't
span.
for kids. I don't know what they're for.
They're for the parents of the kids because we're such a nostalgic generation. Because if you think about it, when we were little, okay, I don't know about...
Like, kids are watching Puss in Boots. Kids are watching Adventure Time.
Yeah.
Owl House. That's what the kids want. They want an Owl House movie.
Yeah.
They don't want fucking our scraps.
But that's the thing. Kids can't buy their own movie tickets.
Right.
But, like, if you think about it, so I'm speaking from, like, my life and my experience.
Kids like, I thought you said my wife. I
No,
was just
my
like, you're
life.
my wife.
No, my life. Being an elder millennial, okay, like, I remember being little, I had a record player. We had a rotary phone on the wall. Like,
Those are the days.
I listened to records and 8-tracks and, cassette tapes. I had a VHS, like... And then all of a sudden, we advanced so incredibly rapidly that we went from all of that to having little mini computers that fit in our pockets and, music devices that hold hundreds of thousands of songs at a time. Like, you didn't need a Walkman that could only play 25 songs. So, like, we advanced so rapidly, and that creates this sense of nostalgia for young people. So it's like, we're in our 30s.
Yes.
But we tend to speak and... reminisce on things as though we were in, like, our 70s.
Yeah.
Because the technology advanced so incredibly rapidly that that's what it feels like.
Okay.
So, and that's just, like, let's make bank off of that nostalgia.
Yeah.
That's why they're remaking all of these movies, because we are so nostalgic. Like, oh, I remember watching that on VHS. Like, come on, little Timmy, come on. It's not for the kid, it's for the parent.
That's a
because
shame.
we are so nostalgic.
Well, I'm still waiting for them to die.
Yeah.
I can't see any more in theaters. I can't even bring myself to watch them on Disney Plus anymore.
I just don't even care.
Yeah.
Like...
I'm just getting more and more numb to it. And, like, every year it just seems like they found another one to just scrape up and be like, this is the one we're doing.
Yeah.
Because, like, Lilo and Stitch is in development, and Hercules has been in development for a while. I thought that was going to come out, like, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So I was just like, whatever. If it exists, whatever. If it doesn't,
I don't know. I'm just like, I don't care. Like,
because, like,
you're not
everybody
coming out with
was
anything
mad.
new.
Because, like, here's where it gets funny. Everybody is, like, kind of mad at the Mario movie. So, like, fans, like, really love it. Critics kind of hate it. And, like, there's kind of this in-between of just, like, well, it's kind of like the death of cinema. And I'm like, that's the death of cinema and not the shit that Disney has been puking out for the past decade?
How is that the death of cinema?
I don't know. It's just, like, weak story and stuff like that. I'm just like, okay. We've had movies with weak story before. Hello, The Page Master.
What
Like, it still
I
works.
don't understand is, like, it's a weak story, not no story. The
Yeah.
story is he is trying to save his brother.
Right.
And kind of make himself feel worthy.
So here's the thing.
I don't feel like you need any more than
For
that.
some reason,
For a kid's movie.
Mario movie is the one where everyone's just like, well, it's no How to Train Your Dragon. It's no Toy Story. It's no Incredibles. And I'm just like, how many movies are?
Yeah.
Like, you get those once every 5 years, if you're lucky.
Yeah.
Pixar can't even do a Toy Story nowadays. Sometimes they do, but sometimes you get something like... Monsters
I
University.
was gonna say, you
Finding
guys
Dory.
can't see it, but right now his hands are above the head, circling like crazy tornado thoughts. So that silence, there was something happening.
It's hard because I'm thinking of something and I'm just like, I don't know of anything that's universally disliked from Pixar that wouldn't cause a huge backlash. Like, I can tell you what, I don't much care for Pixar, but that doesn't mean they have like a huge following.
I don't like...
Like, I don't know, nobody really seemed to like the Lightyear movie, but I haven't seen it.
Oh my god, I completely forgot about the Lightyear movie.
That's probably best. Because, like, that was what I was thinking when I was saying, holy hell, I mean, it's a Mario movie, not the Lightyear movie. And I'm like, but I haven't seen the Lightyear movie. I'm just going off the general consensus, which is the whole opposite of the point I'm trying to make.
I don't understand, because critics have, like, weird double standards, because you'll see something, and again, it's not that I'm advocating or a fan of the movie at all.
Right.
It's just from the criticisms that I've heard.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, for Frozen 2, it's too dark for kids. It's too scary for kids. The story is too scary for kids.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so Mario kind of, like, takes some of the venom out, you know? They, like, soften those edges. Well, it doesn't really have a story. Well, it's because every time they put a story in, you bitch that it's too dark for kids. Like,
I don't know.
The main thing with story is there needs to be a conflict. So what type of conflict can you create that isn't too scary for kids? Because, you know, the way that I look at it, these kids, like, I would never want to be a child today or have children today because of, like, all they know is violence. Like, they were born into an era of violence. So it's like, how do you create a conflict that's not too scary for them when their life is scary? You know, so it's like, okay, like, I'm just trying to find my brother and feel good about myself. Well, there's no story there. I'm sorry. We just can't fucking win, can we?
I think all of this could be avoided. Maybe. I don't know. Nintendo fans can get a little passionate. They're like, this is amazing. It's fine. It's amazing. But, like, I think most of this could have been avoided if critics were just like, yeah, it's fine. Well, move along.
Yeah.
Like, don't make us think about it. Like, well.
I mean, I get that that's their job, is to criticize. However, there needs to be a standard if they're going to criticize something like the story of, okay, if you want a story, then, like, understand the mechanics of storytelling. There needs to be a conflict, but every time someone puts a conflict in a children's movie, you say it's too scary.
Mm-hmm.
Like, these kids are practicing active shooter, you know,
okay, let's
things,
not get that
and
far
like
in.
they're like practicing all of these weird things that, like, it's scary.
I gotcha.
So that's not to get political. I'm not getting political. It's
not,
just
not
saying.
so much
it's
political,
just saying that these,
like really reaching.
Yeah. Well, no, because it's like these kids are dealing with things that are very scary on a daily basis,
Okay, fair.
and practicing things that are like that are scary. They're being desensitized.
Okay.
Because there's no other choice. It's not like, oh, let's desensitize the children. It's like, it's so prevalent in their life and every day that it's not a big deal.
Okay.
But they're saying that, like, Frozen 2 is too scary.
There's a lot of movies that, like,
they're saying that, like,
they're too scary.
Yeah,
now.
it's
I'm like,
too
man,
scary
hate
for
the
kids.
Shit that I grew up on.
Yeah.
Don Bluth is hiding in a corner, like
shh,
don't tell them about me.
They're gonna come for me.
I killed a brontosaurus.
I know. Saddest moment.
I separated a mouse from his family.
Aww.
And the whole movie, he's dealing with depression.
Yeah. So I feel like there just needs to be some sort of standard for, like, okay, if this is too scary for kids, what is appropriate for kids? Mm-hmm. And there's no easy answer. That's not, like, the right thing to do.
Hell
because
no.
then it's like, you know, there are parents that are like, it wasn't scary.
Mm-hmm.
Little Jill loved it. Like,
Well, that brings me back to the live-action remakes. Like, one of the reasons Jafar doesn't turn into the Cobra in the remake is because it was too scary for kids. I said, fuck you, give me my Cobra. The least you could do is do that after you butcher my childhood film.
yeah. I don't know. I feel like... I
scary,
don't. I don't know.
But then also, it's just like, I mean, I watched that stuff. I turned out fine as I schedule my 5th therapy session.
Right.
So I don't know. What do I know?
I have a whole different opinion on why we're so messed up. But that's for another.
Do we have time?
That's for another.
I mean, we have
that's
time.
That's for another day.
All right. Another side, another story.
I don't know. I struggle with finding an opinion on allowing things that are scary in kids' movies.
Okay.
Because, like, I remember.
Oh shit! Here we go again.
What?
No, I'm ready. Here we go.
I was like, I remember watching kids' movies that had, like, really terrifying parts in it, and that, like, intrigued me for storytelling.
Yeah.
Like, it made me want to make my own. It, like, I remember watching, and this is gonna sound corny or cheesy.
Oh, check out this guy.
Oh, he's like
He's a gentleman.
ringleader.
Yeah, like a gentleman zombie.
Bye, Dandy.
Ah, crap.
Foul language.
Gentleman rules. Yeah, he's pretty tough. He's optional, though. You'll find him, like, every once in a while just showing up in previous areas. He'll be like, aha, I found you.
I like that his, like, chest wound is a tie.
Mm-hmm. Ah, damn it.
But,
I'm getting thrashed here.
yeah, I mean, I remember watching those, and it's gonna sound cheesy and corny now as an adult, but I remember watching The Princess Bride.
Oh, okay. If you use, like, your super form, that counts as cheating, and he bails.
Oh.
Alright, so the next time we see him, we have to just do an actual man-to-man combat.
Okay.
The Princess Bride?
But I remember being, like, terrified of, like, the rats.
Oh, really?
And
Rodents of unnatural size?
Yeah.
I don't think they exist.
And of, like, the forest in general.
Oh, okay.
And just being like, oh my god, that was so close. Like, because you're a kid and you don't understand that, like, a movie is pre-filmed. And, so you're just like, oh my god, they died. They made it. Like, it's just super exciting. And I remember literally asking my mom for a notebook and a pencil. And I watched that movie on repeat and just wrote it down.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Like, just as close as I could to, like, creating a book for it. And because I didn't know it was already a book, but like of just writing it down, and like it just intrigued me to get more into storytelling and to write and to make my own story. It's like, yeah, I can write down all these movies and stuff, but like, why not make my own? And it's like, I feel when you take a lot of the scary parts out, it's less intriguing to children because there's no actual threat.
Well, that brings me to another point, and I feel very strongly about this, is like, just because you add like dark and controversial elements into a story, it doesn't mean you're advocating for it.
Right.
You were just making that like a part of the conflict, a part of the world.
And that's exactly it. It's a conflict that the main character has to overcome. So it's like, you're showing that this is bad. This is bad. And see, the good guy beats it.
Not just that, but like it opens thought,
like,
and like it's controversial, but like it requires both you, the creator, to think about how to approach this. How does this work in this world that you're building in this story? But also the reader to be like, all right, how do I feel about this? And like, I don't think it's a bad thing to challenge a reader.
No, I don't either. And again, I'm speaking solely for kids. Because they're not necessarily...
Whereas I'm just saying, like, in general?
Yeah, they're not developed enough to...
Well, because, like, a lot of
be able to think in the
literature
terms
is
of,
being,
like, the villain.
reevaluated.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, oh, that's a little controversial for children's literature. Let's try this instead. I'm just like, all right, fair enough. But there were some important lessons in some of those stories.
Yeah. I don't know. I just, like, part of me is like, don't take the like scary stuff out, because it inspires a lot of creativity, but it also shows that like the good guy can beat the bad guy.
Not just that, but
and
it
if
allows
you take
you
the
to
bad guy
appreciate
out, like
the good stuff more.
Yeah.
That's why there's that balance of like tragedy and happiness and stuff like that. Like if everything's just like sunshiny and there's no actual threat, you don't really give a shit when things go south.
But in the same breath, like, I want them to stop humanizing villains because that really blurs the line on, like, who's a bad guy, who's a good guy. And my main thought with that is, like, Cruella. They made an entire Cruella movie, and they gave her this weird, sad backstory, and it's like, okay, that doesn't change the fact that she's a villain, that she does bad things. They did the same thing with Maleficent. She is a villain. When you humanize the villain, now you're saying it's okay that she did all these bad things because she has a sad backstory.
Right.
So, like, I don't understand why that's okay.
I think the best sympathetic villain is Ramesses from Prince of Egypt. He was still very clearly the villain, but you understood exactly where he came from, why he was doing this, and the struggles he was going through. He was still human, but he was still making the wrong decision.
Yeah.
Why can't people just do that?
And honestly, I think that is very apparent for older viewers, but if you're a child, like if you're a kid, he's still just the villain. Like, you don't see the sympathy behind it.
I got
He's
you.
just the bad guy.
That was really embarrassing. That tiny little crack big ass war fell through. I figured he'd get stuck.
Oh shit. But yeah, I don't know. I have lots of opinions that aren't fully formed.
That's okay.
So
That's the downside of Metroidvanias. It's just like, hey, we're going back to these previous areas. Let's just dump all our thoughts.
yeah.
Be like, so, what's the hot topic for today?
Yeah.
But it's all right. Now we're going to the path ahead.
But yeah.
I got some health shards. I got some wrath shards. We fought a gentleman and cheated. Played fair, then cheated a little.
Gentleman Kala.
So yeah, we'll get back to him, and we'll do it proper. We'll do a proper gentleman's duel.
I don't know why I just
But
pictured...
for now, it's off to the Ashlands.
I just pictured War, like, running into him and going, shit. And, like, takes his hood off, puts a little top hat on. Like still with his mean mug, but just, like, with the top hat.
See, I think it'd be funnier if, like, he kept the hood and just applied a little bow tie. All right.
Let's go.
Let's do this. Okay, so in the last episode, Samael gave us what is called the chronosphere, and that allows us to manipulate time. So right here is going to be our first time-based puzzle. So this giant door, we need to open it. But as soon as we do, it's going to slam shut. But by manipulating time, then things are different.
Okay.
So here we go. We're going to use the cross blade to activate it. And then we're going to manipulate time. Whoop, I missed. Alrighty. Lock on. And try again. Alright. So that opens. There's that right up there waiting. See? So... that opens the gate. Before it slams. Manipulate that, and now time goes slow. I still move at the normal speed, but time goes slow, and there's obviously a tick, 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 tick,
Yeah.
tick, 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 tick.
To let you know, like, hey, haul
It's
ass.
like, hey, get moving. But there we go. So there's going to be a lot of puzzles like that, where things are moving, and it's just like, oh, how do I get through it? Guess I gotta manipulate time.
I don't know why I love the way that monster was just like, friend! And, like, started, like, running and, like, sliding cars. That is exactly how I saw John at Phil's wedding. Screaming my name, running towards me, pushing chairs out of the way. I was terrified.
So you saw the giant inferno demon charging towards you. That's what was going on, huh? All right, then. God, I didn't even see it, but, like, already that memory is ingrained in my brain. Because I just saw your face like, oh, Lord, it's coming.
I was terrified.
All right. Oh, yay.
That was such an awkward evening.
Another artifact. Indeed it was.
Of all these drunk people, some who I didn't even know, just being like, thank you. Thank you for making him so happy. Thank you. And I'm just like, hi.
Hi, I'm Amanda. All right, so in the next episode, we're actually going to take off into the Ashlands. And you're going to see more of Darksiders and more of the Chronospheres in action. Uh-huh. So we'll see you then.